Alright, boys and girls. Get your inch sticks ready. We're about to make some challenge coins here in the fucking Mellow Cup factory. Esoterics, eschatology here. Again, one of my favorite guys for the subject matter. If I'm going to use a teacher, I like this guy to lead. Not to be the prime model, but to be a prime model.
And demons. From the use of magical seals, magical
adultery,
rings, even super-powered magical words.
They're all fucking rebels and snake handlers.
I get every one of them. To construct the Holy Temple in Jerusalem.
Well, this is where I get my Solomon seal from for challenge coin, based on eschatology. Right, so it's a whole nother class from a different teacher. Don't just use his research. Look at a few different triangulations to figure out eschatology.
However, in this episode, I want to focus on an even
political,
more obscure
mathematical
of Solomonic
So
magic,
if I call in Mike, and he's my Arduino guy over at
not of
Quickway,
demons, but of angels. This magical altar, or Almendel, is actually described in the Lesser Key of Solomon,
Doomslayer.
though the Goaty show usually gets all the showtime and is well attested in medieval magic. Very likely having its origins well before Solomonic magic even reached Europe. In this episode, I want to discuss the
conquest, electromagnetism, gravity, so you have a math house for it in the M1. You have Mike Raphael, Bowser, Belial, Lambda, fucking Luke, John, Mary, you know, and there's a bunch of different sets. And sometimes Mary can be a bitch. I wouldn't be all the time, but given relative perspective, up, down, somebody clearly didn't like it.
Also, if you want to support my work
by
providing
in my motherfucking office right now,
free content on topics and esotericism here on YouTube for free, I'd hope you consider supporting me on Patreon.
Some brothers either like in the manor here for Solomon silver pieces. That's either going to be 20 silver, or I'll be happy to get that mallow for you.
Supporting the project.
I agree. In the system, it's not going to burn down this office and me playing guard. And guess what that would be? Nephilim or some challenge coin circuitry and or nor therefore
of angels. I'm Dr. Justin Sledge, and welcome.
Well, and again, that's why I like eschatology or esoterics. We can talk about anything.
Philosophy.
Now, who in this up-down game theory applies to Bernoulli? Good question, right? Now, let's go look at the math. You go rabbit kelking that thing, and Purgatoni, he's going to put George Washington in hell, because why not? 3 clone rule. Clones.
Solomonic magic is a widely attested school
shadow
of
problem.
Ritual conjuration.
Could be a rabbit. Doesn't need to be a person. It could be a topological function.
Beings, often with a
when I want the stone mill to do success, there's an up and down on it, right? It is in that way, so it is not in that way.
Magical geometric shapes, typically circles and triangles, meant to
and that'll help you with trig. Now, I don't know. I mean, you know that they were good in those math days like that, but here they are taking, if you do some of the stuff in Solomon, the moles of Vol's blood in the vent on a coin that you have to do some other stuff to in the church. You know,
very well attested early on in the scholastic
more
period,
like left foot in, take your left foot out, put your right foot in,
repression
do the
into
hocus
the
pocus.
contemporary world of the occult. Of course, the most famous instance.
So again, you know, when you're looking at standard models,
if
you're looking for Feynman diagrams, I can easily show you a geometry to why you could have this many sub-reactions, but they're not the base reaction. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of these stand out in all of them by a pattern to have the base function in prime numbers like 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. And if you do 0, these are all even numbers. If you do 1, this is all odd numbers. If you go 1, 2, then this becomes all odd numbers. And all prime numbers are odd.
Jewish magical
they're not all prime numbers are odd. All prime numbers that you have out of that real number sequence will be odd. Set 5, 3, 5, 7, 11, 72 is one of them way out there. And you start to say, well, what's 1 over 75th on a prime number chart? What's 1 over 3? What's 1 over 2? Well, what's 1 over 4? It's a quarter. I've had a quarter come across on the angelic side of things before, 33 1/3 on the pie chart, or 666.
The spelling is widely defective.
I mean, if I can design a challenge coin like that, and that's somebody talking about that in relative up, 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 down, what are we dealing with here? I don't think it was necessarily quite that cut and dry out here at 2020, and what I'd have to crash through in terms of the gates to figure it out, or sitting into it on the standpoint of today. If I'm on the post for that thing, one of the things in terms of the kill agent, Solomon, that I have a problem with because of your fall on eschatology,
with the earliest dating to the mid-15th
makes a problem from this Ingling's angle about what's going to be the friction, what's going to be the hang-ups on there, and that's going to stand up to a point on a bar of the bits and bytes here of why I would divert off into some function in eschatology, or esoterics, that we are escalating the circumstances from this superposition influenced multi-matrix. Mario is our neutral. It's in superposition of 0 and 1. I could go either way. If I'm making prime numbers, it usually leads to an operator of adjustments. It's like, so I don't know what got them into sacrificing virgins at the cross from being a crusader, having to roll out there and do a thing. But that would be that coin. That would be that Polaroid moment there.
These divine beings were
and for them, that might have been their syndicate design in terms of what pawn bishops, however they set up the circle on Wednesdays, Nuke and Fog on Mars.
Someone like Iamblichus is slowly transformed into the astral and angelical magical system.
And so that becomes, when you're saying astral by those terms, today the tits and the bricks, Uggs, go to simulator theory, or in game theory. It's like, it's still game theory, it's just using bits and bytes, and that's the Astro, Mikowskian space, and that'll make you feel more comfortable, Mikowskian, if I got you showing them both working together, instead of just banging it out like Bernoulli and Newton and Poncure, right? MA all day, not once, all day. In Stonemill, I don't use derivative like that when I have a real number, and if you roll in church like that,
the name of the text literally meaning the circle, supported by various candlesticks. The inscriptions on the altar vary, but most often contain a pretty regular stock of divine names, usually Hebrew, and various degrees of corruption and classical occult symbols, especially pentacles. Oddly enough,
if I asked you invertedly about how this ritual worked in an interrogation chamber, you knew things. I knew you were at least one of them, Sophie Star. You're blinking. Now, maybe that's good. Maybe that's not good at this point in time, given the challenge coin.
Further, the altar has holes drilled in it by which incense, specifically mastic, could waft through.
Well, this is Penn's when you look at Twister Theory on paper, it's just a piece of paper with some geometries on it, with maybe some E derivative. But did they understand that that's what they were doing by today's term? Did they not understand that that's what they were doing by today's term?
For instance, in the more famous English version,
I watch them on the camera review and they're sacrificing a vault. Or one of their handler, one of the people they had in time. But maybe that's why we heard about it. You know, maybe it wasn't supposed to be that way.
Of course, the color of
I mean, if you eschatology, if we talk about that subject on this course of line, it's an esoteric. It's an Eulers-Ingling's angle of a time paradox of V at the top, because somebody might need that circumstantial relative function. In a standard model, we're going to start in the middle and say left and right. There's a good and here's a bad. Between those range of spectrums, this next step will have the spin and internal lattice confinement of whatever page we're going to put up next. So this dot in 3D, 1D that spins around when I hit the mandrel fractal inside of here.
Is the presence of a crystal stone in the English manuscript tradition.